Welcome in, prickly peeps. It is Aquatic Cactus, and we are back on the hardcore Minecraft survival series. This one is a big one. It's the base tour. Today's video is going to skip a whole bunch of progress in between when my last bad recordings happened and what we've been doing in the meantime on the Twitch, on the survival series on Discord, and just whenever we're live, whenever we're playing in the background and recording. We do still have a ridiculous amount of old footage that I could use. It's just all blurry, and I don't want to use it because it looks bad. Everything moving forward should be much cleaner quality. You should get much better. I do still have minor audio tweaks I want to get out of the way, but that should be the last of our technical problems, and I'm really excited to bring you today's video. So, without further ado, let's cut the rambling and dive right into it. This one is going to be called the time skip. For all my anime loving fans out there, you're gonna get a laugh and you'll understand why. The Twitch stream has been progressing exponentially fast on the Minecraft world. I've been streaming this in Discord, posting pictures, text, all that, updates. So it's time for everybody to catch up with us on the server. That being said, we're gonna take a tour today. A lot of stuff has happened since the last food farm video was published and the shulker farm video was published. You're going to see both of those in the video today if you've been staying up to date with the entire series. And with that being said, let's go see the coolest stuff in our world after 2,259 days in Minecraft Hardcore. Oh, and we're taking screenshots. Let's take a look. Oh, my big head's in the way. Just gotta get into our base here. Don't mind me, secret entrance. Very, very hidden. We're already here. You may as well see it. Stone. Freeze. Start. This will turn the machine on or off at any given time. This determines whether or not it is stone or regular. If it is on, it's doing stone. If it's off, it's creating cobblestone. I'll give it a quick run in just a moment here, but you can see we have a little setup. You will see the items get stored, or they'll get passed through, because if the storage is full, it'll continuously loop the item as to not despawn it. That way I can quickly empty the storage, grab the item, carry on with my day. That being said, over here we have a very loud super smelter. It's loud because there's a whole bunch of hopper minecarts under here to quickly funnel items from the top to the bottom. From the top to the bottom. Down here is a secondary input section. If you just had, like, you know, one stack or two stacks, two chests full of items, you can put it in through here. A little bit of instructions. I'll try and find the Reddit post that I found this furnace array from, and I only changed the input section so it was a little bit more user-friendly. And I changed the storage section as well so that you wouldn't end up with hopper jams. It was it's a pretty cool system. It works very, very efficiently. It's very fast. This does most of my smelting needs, not all of my smelting needs, but we'll get to that later on. Slime do love to make my base their home. You're going to hear or see slime all throughout the base. And as you'll see, we have some water streams hopping around in the back here. These water streams are controlled by a little redstone circuit there that will pull a block out as well as replace that block at the same time and change where the items will swap to. Once that happens, it will allow all of the items to go into the super smelter, which will immediately turn them into stone. And then if we pass that back in, we get obviously smooth stone and more. So nice little smelting setup there. Decoration, work in progress, as you'll come to see most things are, since we just started to get all the best decorating farms up and working. Now, before we actually go into the base, you're going to notice that we have Zaro's minimap mod up there in the top left corner. You can see that there is a little minimap up here. We also have a world map. So you can see some of the cool piping and redstone wiring and stuff that we've got dug out all throughout the world, as well as you can kind of see some bare bones schematics of everything that we've done, and we'll dive into in just a moment here. That's one of the better maps of the world. You'll also notice on my hotbar, I have a pocket wormhole. The pocket wormhole is a teleporting device, and it allows me to move around my world very quickly at the cost of an experience level. I have a late game experience farm, and we will see that later in the video today. And we use that to farm all the experience we could ever need. And if I really, really need experience and want to just get hundreds or thousands of levels, we have ENXO4 stacking raid farm, which again, we will see later in the video. Before we do that though, let's stop and take a quick moment to admire the wall of farms. This is every farm we've ever completed on the world, either once, twice, multiple times. Maybe there's a final version, you know, that type of thing. A lot of these things are final, like we're never going to make another wither skeleton farm. We are A-OK. Sugarcane, probably good forever. Some of these are very quick, very easy farms, as you will come to see. Some of them are very complicated and not quick at all farms. But we tried to make everything super easy to understand for everybody, or we will have a link to a video explaining it from a person who actually knows what they're talking about. Because you don't want to listen to me blabber about something I've got no idea about. That being said, we've got sugarcane, pumpkin, melon, mob farm, spider farm, iron farm, honey farm, flower farm, slime farm, squid farm, glow squid farm, villager breeder, rail duplicator, carpet duper, super smelter, ×2. Cocoa bean farm, enderman farm, guardian farm, hoglin farm, raid farm, obsidian farm, tree farm, crystal farm, tropical fish farm, blaze farm, netherwart farm, vine farm, shulker farm, cobblestone generator farm, chicken farm, wither skeleton farm, and of course the most important farm, the cactus farm. This is also a flower farm. This is a tall flower farm. Very easy to build. There's probably 4 bajillion YouTube Shorts videos of this exact thing. Just look up 2 tall flower farm and you'll find something like this. It's a mud block on top of a hopper with a dispenser behind it, full of bone meal. I just threw another couple chests up top just so you can really stack up the bone meal in there. And then all you have to do if you want to swap out your type of flower, break your rose or whatever you have here, and maybe you want some sunflowers, plant your sunflower, and I should have moved the lever over to the other side, but that's okay. And there you go, now you're harvesting sunflowers. Woo! This is my giant room. Its purpose is undecided, but I think we're going to use it for an automatic potion brewing system that will allow us to brew every type of potion in the game just by flicking some fancy levers and allowing some dispensers and hoppers and droppers to do all the work for me. Probably some water streams too. But that is a project to come as I figure out how to make it. And moving on further into the base, we've got our old storage, which is just not cutting it anymore. Take a quick peek at that. You can also see that we've got a bit of a storage problem. We tried to keep everything as organized as possible, but everything slowly got out of hand. This is all sorted. Kind of. As I said, kind of. It gets a little dicey the further you go. What you heard in the background there is the sugarcane farm activating, and we will be over to that room in one short moment. No base is complete without a lava farm. You gotta be farming lava ever since they introduced this in the... It was in the Cliffs and Caves update when Dripstone was released. This contraption, some of you may not be familiar with, some of you may if you play technical Minecraft. This is a chunk loader. Oh, a little bit of lag there. It's going to constantly send boats through the nether portal. They're going to break in some soul fire on the other side, get sent back through, picked up by a hopper minecart, and the whole cycle repeats itself. What happens with this is it loads both this side of the world and the end dimension, and because of that we can get some cool stuff done like duplicating gravity blocks, while being in a single player world. Gonna turn that off because I don't like clicking noises. Wait, where's the lever? There it is. Just to go deeper into the mods that we have installed, we have the sawmill, which allows us to make non-full blocks of a variety of different blocks, as well as walls, fences, slabs of things that you wouldn't normally be able to make walls, fences, and slabs out of, including terracotta and some other items. Basically, if it's a stone variant block or stone-like, you can chop it down in here. The woodcutter is just a better version of the crafting table for wood items, the same as the stone cutter is for regular vanilla Minecraft. So that's not really a crazy addition. The sawmill kind of is a crazy addition. And then we have additional lanterns too. So we have these beautiful different colored lanterns with black lanterns, pink lanterns, blue lanterns, lanterns with different trim and different colors, different sizes. I'm just kidding, they're not different sizes. But they are a redstone component, so I have been using these as a redstone component because you can turn these on and off, which allows them to both be measured by observers, but also a redstone pulse will turn it on as well as off. So it's a fun little thing to play around with as long as you know what you're doing. We're going to avoid that section because that's a whole bunch of explanation and complication over there, so we'll just skip over that for right now and stick to the fun stuff. This is a farming room. Inside of our farming room, we farm things. It's kind of all there in the name. Farming room. This is a makeshift on-off switch. If I don't want to collect any of the drops from our sugarcane farm, because as you saw, our chests are totally full, then, put them into lava. If I don't want the drops to be destroyed, pull that ice block back and the water stream will be connected, sending the opt block over and to be collected. The water streams themselves do need to be fixed. I'm going to send them into a shulker loading system, maybe. And then they currently go into our small storage, and I need to send them into the big storage, but the big storage isn't done yet. Up above, we have a cocoa bean farm. I believe the cocoa bean farm has already been harvested recently. I don't have any cocoa beans with me to show you exactly how this works, but I can give a brief explanation. Player takes a cocoa bean, and well, actually they take a whole bunch of cocoa beans, and you hop up here inside of your cocoa bean planting chamber. Once inside, the player fills all of the jungle logs, corners withstanding, because the corners interfere with each other, so you only really need to fill in one of the two. Fill in them all with cocoa beans, and then once you're done, hop on down here, and this is where the cool redstone part kicks in. You plant a cocoa bean here, and you plant it here last so that its growth stages are most likely to be the least far along, and all of the other cocoa beans should be mostly grown by the time this one is fully grown. This little bit of redstone in the back is a counting system that will dispense an item after the right number of growth cycles for the cocoa bean. It'll experience 3 growth cycles, including the placement cycle. So after that happens, it spits out an item. The item gets transferred into the bottom here, and when that happens, it detects it up top, breaks your observer block so it doesn't continue to observe it, and then sends a pulse all the way through, which will harvest all of the cocoa beans. They get sent into the water pool, into the chute, and off to be stored. Also pretty cool though, we mentioned on our wall of farms that we have a fully functioning rail duplicator. You see on the bottom we have regular rails, and then there's powered rails, activator rails, detector rails, as well as a carpet duplicator with all the different colors of carpet. And because I have a thing for nicely organized redstone, every single one of these is labeled and only does its corresponding color. So if you want to choose multiple colors, maybe you're using, I don't know, brown and cyan. It's a weird color choice for a building pattern, but maybe that's what you're using. Who am I to judge? There you go. And your brown and cyan is going to get sent through. And everything in this room is controlled by a lever. If we wanted to start the pumpkin and melon system, it's currently just holding mine carts underneath of here. If we wanted to start the pumpkin and melon system, we would flick this lever. And it would send our mine carts off, start collecting all of those after a short while. 3 different layers, 3 different mine carts were dispensed, and all of them will start doing their job in a moment here. It's kind of hard to see it though. Actually, minecart drives over top of the railway. The railway presses down the piston, which breaks out all of the pumpkins and melons. And that happens on all 3 of the layers. So you can see it happening just down there as well. And there's our last minecart. There we go. All of the layers have been harvested, and then the same minecart is going to run back along the track, picking up all of the drops, and finally depositing them inside of that tower. It'll funnel all the drops into one singular pile, and flood them back into the waterway. Super convenient farm, especially if you don't have a stacking raid farm in the early days of your world, or you just need an absolute ton of a block that doesn't interact with slime blocks. There's more of those in the game now, but pumpkins and melons are a great example of a block that does not interact with a slime block and can be used in a variety of ways, as well as for jack-o'-lanterns, which we'll get to their use in just a moment here. But that's one of the cooler farms inside of the base here. Actually, it might be the coolest farm, let's be serious. Cocoa bean farm is cool. This is my design, so if you want me to make a tutorial on this, I could, but in reality, it's a super basic build. That part of the build is probably the most complicated. And honestly, if anyone who's like a super redstone guru knows of a better way to count a 4-tick pulse, let me know. I thought this was pretty compact and pretty smart, but maybe there is a better way, and I am totally interested in learning any and all better redstone applications that I can. Ow, this is a button to try and get rid of a weird delay, because sometimes pistons would fire in the wrong order. This is why we have like 1 tick of delay here. It's because you get piston interruption. Forgot about that. Anyways, let's jump over to the next coolest part of the area of the build. Did I turn off the pumpkin and melon farm? Nope. Forgot to turn it off. It's a key part of most farms is the on and the off, but it's coming back, and you'll actually be able to see what happens with the minecart really quickly. So the timing was kind of perfect on that. Runs underneath of the track, picking up all the items. And it gets to the end of the track. Gets broken by the crystal, and then all of the items get dispensed immediately down into the shaft. There we go, that's all 3 layers. And it just waits for the next pulse to start again. All right. Part 2. The biggest mess that we have in the base. Just ignore everything up there. Eventually we're going to cover that up with some nice, beautiful walls. This is our storage hall work in progress. It has a couple of cool features. I'm going to just put it out here right now. This is the multi-item sorter from Rapscallion and Mooney. This is the V5 Miss. And this sorter is a little bit slower than hopper speed, but it actually works really well that it's slower than hopper speed because of what we did to it down below. I will go over that, and I'll explain what part of it I built versus what part of it was built by Rapscallion and Mooney. so you guys can have a better idea as to what was actually built by me versus what was built by other content creators and just being used because they did a better job of it than I would. Here's an example of when I use a lantern as an on-off indicator as well as a redstone component in a build. And I love these lanterns. I especially love like the quartz and bone chains. The trim just looks so nice in builds like this. It's a simple aesthetic, but very, very effective. This storage works basically the way you would expect it. If the visual block isn't a clear enough indication, these are redstone lamps. This is a redstone chest. Anything that is redstone related will find its way into here after you put it into here. This isn't 100% set up yet, so I can't exactly show this off. In the survival world, I can show off the bottom part in a creative world, but it is a ton of work to actually do all the item sorters and everything to fill all of this out. Work in progress, but I do think it is a good looking work in progress. There's still some more details and stuff that we can make better, but we'll get there. Some stuff like this is just where we're passing items between item lines, and I'll explain that in a moment as to why we're passing those items through. You can see a lot of the redstone down there, and I'll explain what it does just a moment. Let's get down there. This section I added on to the storage. What we're doing is if you... Oh, whoops, I should just show it up. All right, let's try that again. So down below, as we saw, there's a lot of the redstone there. Once we come up here, if we put our shulker box in, I only have an empty one right now. If we put one in, it's going to take the first item out of the shulker box, check what the item is against all of the storage slices that you have set up. So if you had every single item in the game sorted out, and you had all of your shulkers ready to go, and you put it in here, it's going to take the shulker box, take one item out of it, distribute it into the storage system, and then put the shulker box back into one of these storage slices. So if you had a redstone storage box, and your redstone slice would be activated, and your storage box would end up down here. If you had a valuable storage box full of diamonds and emeralds and all that great stuff, you put it in, it's going to check it, it's going to take whatever the first item is out of the box, and it's going to compare it against the entire system, find, okay, my diamonds are here, it's going to open it up, and it's going to drop the item in. So that way, oh, I need a whole bunch of valuables. Let me go check here. It's going to be inside of this chest. Once this is set up, this will make a lot more sense and it'll look a lot cooler, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to leave a like, hit the notification bell, and then you get notified of every single time that I'm posting a video, usually about the hardcore Minecraft server. If you're not interested in Minecraft content, I also produce other content based around shooters, other survival adventure games, other games that I've decided to play throughout my streaming and everything else. That being said, storage is the coolest part. It is custom built, at least the bottom is. Did a couple of things that I thought were pretty neat. We minimized it so there's not a single piece of redstone dust in the bottom at all. The top does have redstone dust. You can see some right there. Redstone dust is laggy, and so the less redstone dust you have as possible, the least amount of redstone dust you have as possible, the better your storage system will be. Unlocked hoppers are also laggy, so anytime a hopper has to check constantly above it, it will do a check and create lag. That's why we have composters over top of those ones, and these ones have a redstone block on top of them, or beside them, to keep them locked. So if you try to pass an item through, it can't until the redstone block is removed. We use that mechanic to create a locking system where once the item is actually filtered into the appropriate slice, it'll pull up a redstone block, sending a pulse into the piston, grabbing the appropriate block and unlocking the appropriate slice. In doing so, it'll register that an item has passed into the lower box, the lower chest here, and if the item has received a shulker, it'll send a pulse down into the observer, across into the piston, and then down again and reset the system, putting the redstone block back, putting the redstone block back, and being ready for the next item to be coming in. This was a labor of love. I was actually very, very happy that we managed to get this done. And this is one of the things that I managed to do without any insight from other players. There's one component that is actually from another content creator, and it was my shulker divider. This can be found if you type RaiseWorks shulker sorter or shulker sorting system. I do believe this will come up. The video is from about 7 years ago, and I'm probably just going to link it down below in the description, so you can check that out as well. And you can find this exact piece of redstone. All of the same redstone wiring is exactly the same in this video. And what it does is that's what's taking the single item out of the shulker, checking it against the rest of the storage, and distributing it. I'm struggling to get over the little ledge I have here. But one item will get distributed and taken into the regular item elevator and transferred across the storage. And that's how we determine the unlocking system. And then once it's unlocked, we have a little bit of a delay here to send the shulker in after. It'll release the shulker and send it through into the lower storage system. So I'm quite proud of that. Just wanted to spend a little minute focusing on my personal achievement on this. It was a big step in the right direction of storage tech for my world without having to build cubic meters insane storage systems, because my lord, cubic meter is so good at storage tech, and the storage tech Discord is insane. My brain melts every time I try and read something in there, and that's why I decided to do it myself. Brain still melted, but at least we did it ourselves. And we have the sense of pride. Are you serious? These slimes are spawning everywhere. I have a slime infestation. I'm gonna call an exterminator. Hello, exterminator? Yes, I have a problem in my base. Slimes are everywhere. Can you please come help? I'm on my way. I'm Evan the exterminator. I'm here to kill your slime, sir. Die! 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 Now that we've removed the slime, the only real thing left in the base is the enchanting setup, which is cool, so we'll go there first. As everyone knows, you need 15 enchanting tables to create a fully leveled enchantment setup. And that's what this pressure plate is for. Get your lapis lazuli, get your light source, so when you're cut off from the world, you still get light. Don't worry. I thought ahead. Get a grindstone to remove your enchantments. Enchant. Good to go. What I would do differently is I would put my chest either here or here. But that's an update for another time. Speed running through this base, let's take a stop and look at the project board, which is currently called the Wall of Farms, because when we first built it, all we were really building on it was farms. These are a vestige of the past. This is all of the dyes in the game. And we have all of those. You'll see that. Froglight Farm, it's colored red because they're difficult to do. It's kind of an end game farm. Gold Farm is actually pretty easy to do. It's just a lot of building. Potion and Brewing Station, I have no idea how difficult this is going to be. Coarse Fruit Farms are always player made and they're always manual. They're kind of a pain. The Asian build outline we have not done yet, but we did get the outline done for the Zen Garden. That being said, and when I say Asian build, there's a Buddhist temple design that I'm going to post an image of probably somewhere around here in the video. You get a little picture of what we're using as a template, and then we're going to try and recreate that in Minecraft to the best of our abilities. And underneath of that, we are going to do a hidden redstone village. That's going to be a super endgame project as we get closer to the 10,000 day marker in this hardcore world. And then if we ever finish our Asian base, we're going to do a ocean draining project where we'll recreate our old Mayan temple PS4 base. I did an excavation project where it looked like an excavation team was pulling out a Mayan temple from the ocean. And what I'm going to do is, if I ever finish that, we will tack on the Hand of God, which I'm going to put a huge hand built in the sky, reaching down and grabbing a chain that spreads out onto a series of other corners of the excavation project, as if like a giant hand of God was pulling the excavation project out of the ocean. So lots of very, very ambitious build projects that are going to take me months, if not years, to do. Stay tuned for all of that. Again, make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, you're only going to see boring things like mud farms. And mud farms actually aren't that boring. There's some interesting mechanics as to how you actually farm mud. A lot of these things have kind of have requirements of me being in 1.21 to have the autocrafter, but we'll get there. There's only one big thing left to do in the base, and it's not technically in the base. I don't need to run there. What am I doing? We have a teleport function. This is my AFK spot. If you stand right here, eventually. Oh, am I open to land? I think so. It won't actually show me, but I promise. This is the spot where my cactus farm starts generating items. Ah, there you go. These are cactus. Let's pop over there. Iron farm. This is our 5-layer cactus farm. Wasn't sure if it was 4 or 5. Which you can kind of get a sense is producing a very large number of items, and it doesn't seem like it was producing that many when it got to the base. But I'll show you a quick trick, and you can use this in all of your farms too. You'll notice my items are kind of stacking up at this trapdoor. So single items don't have enough momentum to get over a trapdoor, but once they've stacked up a little bit, they do. So you can actually condense items into stacks just by using a trapdoor like this. The trapdoor would need to be 1 block further back in order for the items to carry enough weight to get over, but that is a trick that you can use. I had a bucket in my inventory. I would fix that really quickly. Cactus farms are easy. There's 1.5 million designs. You can use it as an XP bank. You can just farm cactuses. You can get dye. There's lots of different reasons to have a cactus farm. My name is Aquatic Cactus. If you hadn't figured that out getting this far into the video, there's a cactus farm because I'm named Aquatic Cactus. You can't not have a cactus farm. But this next farm is just a staple in every single Minecraft world. If you don't have an iron farm, what are you doing with your life? This iron farm is known as the waifu iron farm. This personal one is the, I think level 3. There are 4 different versions of the waifu. Single dimension, dual dimension, and then the other one basically just has more villagers than this, like the most complicated version. I will link the video for the waifu tutorial and the channel of the person who made the waifu as well. I'll make sure both of those are listed in the video description, and I will probably post it in the top comment that I pin. This iron farm is an incredibly cool concept, one that works very differently from other iron farms. It juggles the villagers, which I will show you quickly when I turn it on. I just wanted to give proper credit where credit was due. It juggles the villagers so we get this awesome cycle where it's just continuously dropping villagers down their tube, launching them back up, and then catching them, so that this zombie is then scaring the villagers and cycling through and creating new villages every time the villagers cycle through. There's another zombie down at the bottom, designed to scare the villagers when they're there, and every time they cycle, it creates a golem. Not going to be seen super incredibly quickly, but it's a very awesome iron farm. I love the waifu iron farm. I've built it in like my last 5 worlds. Before that, I was using a portal-based stacking iron farm, which was about the same footprint in terms of size, top to bottom, and was definitely less efficient. I will link the waifu. And on that note, let's go look at more cool stuff. But this time, we're going to go to the end. Minecraft disagrees. We are not going to go to the end. There we go. So we have a couple of things that we're going to need to go over here in the end island. The biggest ones are going to be the concrete factory, the absurd amount of chickens that we have underneath of our portal, the furnace array. I know, a second furnace array. Why would possibly need one of those? And this little chest thing here, which is not so little. Let's start here since it's the closest. I'll just stare at it awkwardly and explain what it is. This is obsidian farm storage. Before we converted our obsidian platform into a concrete factory, we had built, I can't remember whose farm it is. Again, I'll link the farm. We will have a link for every single farm that's not my creation or design in the bottom of the video. And I will do my best to credit every single other creator whose farms I use. This farm, I believe it was Ian's, another Ian Exo4 farm, the Instant Elegance Obsidian farm. If it wasn't, we'll find out when I do the editing, and maybe Editor Cactus can put whose farm this actually is somewhere like, right down there. Right down there, whose farm is it? And then we'll find out. If it is Ian's farm, this was used to create about 100,000 obsidian an hour. Might have been 24,000 obsidian per hour. Either way, we have a lot of obsidian here. We have about 130,000. I have used quite a bit of it for ender chests, I can't remember. As well as different building projects like the Hoglin food farm, which we will get to in just a short moment. So obsidian is a very essential part of the build. If I do need to build another obsidian farm, I'll probably use cubic meters pillar farm. But I'll have to look into how that one works. I believe it works the same as the regenerating end platform. If not, we are going to have a lot of fun finding out how that farm works. I can't show you how this works without turning it all on, and turning it all on is actually a bit of a process. I will link the video, but this is a very easy to build concrete converter, as well as turns it into concrete block items. Essentially, you would have the, not high enough, and the gravity block duplicator that we had in the base that was surrounding our end portal. Both of those would be on, and they would be distributing items into this water stream. This water stream would then distribute items across those series of chests, and when you turn it on, it would dispense those items right here to the end of the water stream, where the player picks them up, being underneath of here. Player places blocks all along these leaf blocks, and they get pushed down and blown up. When they do, they get blown up, sent down here, and into this nice multicolored tube. And because I'm the way I am, every color corresponds to where the item will be sorted. If it's yellow, it's going to be in here. If it's black, it's going to be in here. So on and so forth. I'll quickly show you what that looks like. And it's not just going to be sorted into there. It's going to be sorted into there in shulker boxes. This is not the only time this shulker sorter is used in the system or in this world. We use it one other place, and we're going to get to there very shortly because I'm running out of stuff to show you in the end. Now, I'm standing on an outrageous amount of black glass, and you're probably thinking to yourself, Cactus, where did you get all of this black glass? And I'm going to direct you to the furnace array in the end. That furnace array is there for the sole purpose of converting glass. So my overworld furnace array takes care of, stone to cobble, or stone to smooth stone, cobblestone to stone, all of those types of furnaces and furnace needs. This furnace specifically is used for glass. The items get transported. You flick a switch in the end, then you go back over to the overworld, turn on your portal chunk loader. Once your chunk loader is on, and you turn on your gravity block duplicator to duplicate some sand, you send the sand through. It goes into those bottom tunnels, which we can actually see on the mini-map there. So you have two separate tunnels. It'll split the item across those two water streams and distribute them up into the chest streams in the super smelter area, right up there. And then distribute the items across all of these furnaces and start smelting them. Not much left to cover. While we're here, I will cover why there's a whole bunch of chickens underneath of my end portal. And then we'll go to the end of the mid-farm. This weird setup here with all of these eggs is designed to spawn chickens, as you can hear underneath. And I needed to spawn an unbelievable amount of chickens because I was getting wither roses. And in order to get wither roses, you have to kill enemies by summoning the wither, or have the wither kill them with a specific attack. The easiest way was to do it with summoning the wither on top of a wither cage here underneath of my portal, and then spitting out literally hundreds of chickens, killing them with the wither explosion, and then collecting all the wither roses. On that note, I think that brings us to the wither skeleton farm. Oh, no, we need to do Enderman farm first. I've been building Nembomb's Ender Mini for years. This thing is efficient. It does require the player to turn down their audio settings. It does require the player to crouch, not get too close to the farm, and you have a sweeping edge sword. It does not take them down to one hit, but it kills them very, very quickly and gives you a ridiculous amount of experience. It is a great starter XP farm. It is absolutely worthwhile to build, and it takes very little resources and can be basically built in the first few days of having a world. Now we're on to the fun stuff. Why did we need all of those wither roses? Well, if you've ever built a wither skeleton farm, you're very familiar with the mechanics of wither skeletons and how nothing else can spawn on top of a wither rose except for a skeleton. So, if you happen to find a triple crossroad, you could make something like this. And a crossroad is any fortress intersection with 4 openings on either side of it. I think you can technically use the 3 ones. I would have to look into that. But each one of these has its own hitbox, which I believe is either 17 or 19 blocks wide, which is what is being highlighted here by all these wither roses. The wither skeletons spawn in, get aggroed by the golems, and then they jump down. This little cutout is here just to avoid the wither skeletons from ever being able to cross accidentally, but still being able to path to the golems. When you turn the farm on, a series of mine carts go and collect the wither skeletons, which is where all these rail carts are, or all these rail tracks are for. And then these solid blocks weaken the wither skeletons as they are returned to these kill chambers. The player stands right underneath of here, smacking the armor stand with sweeping edge. As the armor stand hit will distribute the hit to both wither skeletons in the kill chambers, and it'll collect all of the items down below and send them into another shulker box loader, just like we saw with our concrete factory. This one is a little bit less decorated. As you can see, we get all of our bones. Going further still, we have all of our coal, which I take from here pretty often. And finally, we have wither skeleton skulls. Just a few of them hanging around, because this is a triple crossroad. It produces an unbelievable amount of skeletons. I don't think I'm able to film a video about it, but I'll see how much of this I have recordings for, and if it has awful audio and awful blurriness, which is kind of the point of the time skip. We're calling this video the time skip because I had a lot of recording issues with my recording software, and it caused a lot of my video to be blurry, especially while I was using my elytra to get around. I didn't want to deliver a whole bunch of blurry content to you guys, so unfortunately it's just a point of I would rather deliver a video like this and get straight to all the cool stuff, catch everybody up all in one video and be like, cool. If you really care about seeing any of this happen individually, let me know. I can go over it. I can explain it in more thorough detail. Or if you're just happy seeing all of the cool stuff that we've done up until this point, and you have absolutely no questions, then just carry on watching. Because it's just going to get cooler from here, and we're going to get to the part where we actually build all the interesting stuff that I want to build in the world. Stuff that, if I just wanted to play creative Minecraft, is the type of things that I would build. But now, we have basically every farm in the game, so I can do it in survival. All with the hopes of never dying and actually completing these projects. Which, who knows how that's going to go. But, moving on, we don't have too much more in the end that we have to go over. Everybody needs a blaze farm. If you don't have a blaze farm, where are you getting your blaze rods from? It's very simple. It is a box with stone only on the exteriors, so they're attracted to the exteriors. Then the lava pushes them into the center, where they eventually conglomerate, and you punch them with your pokey thing. Come under here, and punch, and punch, and punch. Good stuff. That's a blaze farm. Not much more to it. Gonna skip ahead. And yes, I know I keep skipping over the Asian Mega Build one, and I know you guys are probably interested, but don't worry. We're getting there. This was just a potential build area. It holds some merit, and it could potentially be used later on in the series. If it is, you'll see more of it. If it's not, you won't see any of it, so don't worry about it. Concrete factory we've already seen. What else do we have? I'm so high up in the sky. We're going to AFK here just for a moment so you guys can actually see the effects of how quickly this farm devastates lives. It's actually kind of frightening. This is a 4-story hoglin farm. You can still see some of the hoglins in there. One of those is a zombified hoglin. Let's fly away and reset the aggro really quickly. Come back in. There we go. Now nothing's left over. AFK for 30 seconds. And now we're back. Let's show the overworld side. And we only ever get to see the very last moments of it. Basically, they're all just getting shoved back and forth through the portal constantly. And eventually, they get sent here. It breaks them all into one tiny little chamber. They die to the burning of the lava up above. And the cooked pork chops gets funneled across and into here. At which point, they completely fill up my storage. This is all completely full. If you've been watching the recent videos, we just covered this one. Woo! You're almost all caught up. We're getting there. See? Time skip. What do we have left? Not too much. We have the base portal on the nether side, which there's a couple of cool things here. We have our AFK honey farm. As long as I'm in the area, these bees will continue to produce honey bottles for me. Oh, which actually they are full, so I'm going to need to convert those into some honey blocks pretty soon here. Oh yeah, I'm completely full. That's actually crazy. It's been a while. I guess we did a lot of work here with moving the villagers. This doesn't look like much. It looked kind of like a confusing mess, but this is an iron farm crushing side of the waifu. What this lever does is spits an item through the portal every so often, so it continues to load the other side while I'm on this side. Basically keeping the iron farm running at all times. If I so chose to do it, but it is limited by all of the items back here, which we just use duplicated carpet to keep it full. That being said, anything else super cool on here? Not really. We broke some bedrock. That's a thing. We do that. It's eventually going to come into handy later on down the line when we have to break a ton of bedrock and maybe make another perimeter. But as of right now, I don't see any reason to do that. So this is just how I navigate when I don't want to travel on top of the nether roof. But we did break the bedrock up there so it is easier to travel, both with ice highways and everything else when we first need to get somewhere. Because you can't teleport to somewhere that you've never been with the Waystone mod, which I very much like. You actually have to explore those areas, get to those areas, then you can teleport. the nether is pretty much done. I think we are powering through this. The only thing we actually really need to do is the spawn area, which squiddies. This is a squid farm. I went to go make a video about this, and then I found out someone had one that was like basically exactly the same. So I'll probably link you to their video. Might have been FrunoCraft. Again, I'll take a peek. It's basically just large nether portals with light in between. There's water that flows down right underneath of this that goes all the way down in between the nether portals so squids can spawn. Squids fly, move left or right, and then they get teleported to the nether, at which point they get suffocated inside of a snow block and collected by some hoppers. Off in the distance here, we have the track where our shulker was spawned at the world spawn. And we moved him all the way to the other area of the shulker farm. There's not too much left at spawn because I don't farm my iron there. So let's go over to the shulker farm area, which is actually a multi-farm area. It's just easier to call it the shulker farm area. Things that are over here. We have a flower farm. Oh, whoops. There we go, just me tuning my note block. Flower farm just continuously bone meals, creates different types of flowers. That creates different colors, the primary colors that we need. And those primary colors are used to make different colors of dyes. It also creates seeds, which we just funnel back into the system and use to compost to create more bone meal. This is a shulker farm behind me. I will link whoever made it. I can't remember who it was. It's a super simple farm to build. It took about an hour to build it. Most of that was just gathering the scaffolding, which if you spend 15 minutes inside of a jungle biome, you will be more than okay for scaffolding. This giant empty field is a water flooding system for a wheat field. Normally this would be filled with seeds or wheat, and I would funnel it all over to here. As we need more and more wheat, we end up taking more and more from it. We grab our seeds from here, and we go and plant the field. Once the field has been planted, we give our redstone lever a flick, which I'm going to change the input so it's just a button. And it washes all of the water down the fields, which would wash all of the seeds in turn down the fields. Not a complicated system, but an effective system. This is a system I'm going to change, and I was playing around with it to see if I could use it as a dirt converting system as well to make a dirt farm, which is one of the most outrageous things I've ever said in my Minecraft career. But what I'm probably going to do is remove all of this redstone, just have a line that goes out this way, and then as the line reaches the end, it'll pass through an observer or something like that, and we'll drop some TNT on it, exploding it, and moving the items into a water stream. To make this a little bit more of an automatic farm, because right now you strip the logs, or whatever it is you're putting into it, it makes a giant cube, and then you come back and you mine out the giant cube. I think we can do better. Different types of tree farms. We have a cherry tree farm over here. This is a Raiseworks cherry tree farm. I did some modifications down to the bottom section to make it a little bit easier for the player to use, as well as it much easier for the items to collect properly. Player stands here. As the farm works and opens, every time a sapling grows, it gets pushed up. This block will get retracted, and a player can plant a new sapling. It's a very fun farm. The bottom part here is very compact, and it makes me claustrophobic, so I'm going to avoid this one. This one does regular trees, tall trees, assorted trees as well. I'm going to have to link the farm. And then this is a 2x2 moss bone meal farm. You put bone meal into it, it turns it into moss, and then takes bone meal out, which makes more moss, and then takes all the extra bone meal. And I split it between the two farms. Whichever farm is on is whichever farm will receive the bone meal. That's how we farm all of our wood. We are really quickly getting through all of this and running out of stuff to show you, except for the super cool final project area. Glow squid farm, sure. This one's easy. This is like a 2-minute explanation. Mesa biomes. They're basically like cool desert biomes. They're multicolored. They have very little water anywhere. This one, in fact, had no water except for where we built this. It had like a couple of blocks, and then we removed almost all of it. Dark plus very empty area with no extra water. And I know what you're saying, Cactus, that's water right there. Yes, it is, but it's lit up water, so the squid can't actually spawn in it. So that is the only available spawning space in the entirety of the chunk. So squid will spawn in there. They will eventually fall onto the platform, onto their death. The mine carts will go around collecting the glow ink sacks and distributing them into a storage system. Moving on up. Super easy. Mob farm. We used Ilmango's tower-style desert flushing mob farm. I'm not going to go any deeper than that. I will link the video. Basically, a lot of layers, but the layers alternate which ones have mobs on them. Some have water, some have normal. Apparently, I left the farm on the last time I was here. So you can actually see it happening. That works really great. Alternating layers get flushed off every time, which increases the amount of mobs that can spawn there. And then it floods the bottom and sends all of the items into a centralized water stream, and they get stored over here. Killing it! What's left? Raid farm? ENXO4 stacking raid farm. Yes, it did need this much storage. Yes, a lot of it is full. You don't believe me? Let's take a peek. Storage like this fills bottom to top, just for reference. That's like 250,000 emeralds, something like that, give or take. It's a lot of a little bit, and then redstone is kind of low wherever it is because I keep taking from the chest. Somewhere around here. More emeralds. More emeralds. Redstone must be on one of the lower ones. Ah, just because I just keep taking from it. Can I actually not open that? There we go. So yes, it's quite extensively filled. It's not like very, very filled. It's because I've already taken things from it. Totems, emeralds, flags, sticks. Everything. Bottles. It's actually absurd. Raid farm, ENXO4 stacking raid farm. They worked in 1.20.4 and earlier versions. They don't work in 1.21. Just in case anyone's wondering. What's that off in the distance, you say? Well, let's go take a peek. That would be another ENXO4 build. You might be noticing something here. I like easy builds from my hardcore world. A bunch of angry fish. Angry fish go into a portal. As more angry fish go into the portal, they push the angry fish into the portal. Once the angry fish are done pushing each other into the portal, it will get sent into this portal. Angry fish elevator. An angry fish evader. You wait for them all to pile up. Once they're all up here, give them a smack. And then they're all dead, and then you get all your stuff. Normally you would take some cod off of these and put them in your offhand, and then you could AFK this. If you had an auto clicker, or even just use Minecraft's F3 plus T function. And it is a very efficient XP farm. Ian builds fantastic farms. I would absolutely recommend checking out their channel if you're interested in learning about Minecraft farms or learning about Minecraft mechanics. There are better technical Minecrafters who are better at explaining the mechanics, but Ian is very good at exploiting those mechanics and showing them to people. That being said, we are almost to the end of the video, and if you have made it this far, thanks for sticking with us. I really appreciate the support. Definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all that fun jazz. And let's finish up strong. We have a handful of things left to show. Some significantly cooler than the other. There. Let's get rid of the rain. Oh, that's... All right, so we slept through the night. Let's go back. Slime. Iron golem in the middle, a bunch of brown mushrooms to create a light level of 1 so slimes can spawn. They get attracted to the iron golem in the middle, and then eventually suffocate inside of a snow block. At which point their drops get transported down to a little storage system down below. It's not crazy, it is efficient though, and it gives me all the slime blocks I could ever really need for a single player and in survival. This particular storage fills right to left. Okay, we have done almost every single cool thing in the world, but there is still one really cool thing to show you. It's actually not the crystal farm, but we did forget to show that off inside of our base when we were there. Whoops. We'll do it as an afterthought at the end. So, the one place I keep avoiding the entire time. Let's go check it out. Those are some nice trees. Oh, they look so good. Oh, whoops, this is what we were supposed to be showing you. My mistake, I thought it was the trees for a second. Jokes aside, welcome to the Asian mega build area. This entire cliff region, and I do mean the entirety of this cliff region, is going to be terraformed to my suiting. I'm going to flatten this out. I'm going to add in custom mountaintop streams, water features. The whole underside of this mountain is going to get flattened out. And I mean all of it. We're going to remove the mountain and make a hidden redstone village underneath of it. This whole top is going to be custom snowy hills and Buddhist temples that wrap all the way around, with the largest temples being up here at the very top on this plain-style mountain, and then it being like a pilgrimage with a series of paths leading you down to smaller structures along the way, until the point where your path will split this corner in half. There'll be a couple of miscellaneous buildings and or shrines over there. This whole center is going to be like a Zen garden or like a Japanese botanical gardens. I'm going to have lush bamboo forests. I'm going to fill it with parrots, pandas, and all that jazz. It's going to be like its own macrocosm and its own ecosystem inside of here. This build took about 30 hours of flattening with the TNT flying machine. After that, we'd spend it was about 20 hours of flattening, about 6 hours of block gathering, and about 6 hours of block placing. We placed about 130 shulker boxes worth of blocks, but we removed about 1,300 shulker boxes worth of blocks. For context. Okay, just running a world edit command quickly to see how many blocks it is and to show you what the destruction looked like before we flattened it out. And that is what 10,500,000 blocks removed looks like. This looks a little bit more similar to the build area that we're working on, obviously without the super smooth edges because we use TNT. But that's because I wanted the rough edges, as it's easier to make a build template off of. But this is what it looked like before, as well as after. And back to normal. All right. Now you see what we started with, and you can understand a little bit of the scope of the project. Like, where did you just have 230,000 dirt laying around? I didn't have it laying around. In fact, some would say that I terraformed an entire area just to terraform an entire area. It was an absurd amount of digging. It wasn't even worth putting a beacon up here because it was insta-mine. I don't think there's a difference in mining speed between insta-mine with a efficiency 5 shovel on dirt versus haste 2 efficiency 5 shovel with dirt. I think insta-mine is insta-mine. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, post it in the comments down below. I honestly have no idea. It's not something I've ever looked into. But what I am looking into is never coming back to this area again because it's hideous now and I decimated the terrain. I want to get a before and after picture and I'll share those when I can. But for now, I think that pretty much concludes the base tour and the world tour. Yeah, perfect. There we go. You guys, thanks everyone for coming to the base tour. This horse doesn't really want us having an outro, so oh there we go. He didn't want to. Thanks, horse. Appreciate you. See you later, buddy. On that note, like the horse, I'm gonna take my leave. Thank you all if you've made it this far into the video. I do appreciate the support, as these take me quite a bit of time to do the editing as well as the gameplay. I will catch up with you in the next video on the hardcore server, and stay prickly, peeps.